If you've been told you have fatty liver disease, or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or metabolic associated steatotic liver disease, good news, it's fully reversible. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps you need to take to not only reverse it, but to start seeing changes within just a few weeks. I'll also give you some practical and actionable advice on the foods you need to eat and the ones we really need to avoid. And stick around to the end. I'll talk about the best supplements to support your liver health and to get it back to normal. My name's Bally. I'm a registered dietitian and specialist liver dietitian from the UK. And on this channel, we talk all things liver disease, and we've started the first series on fatty liver disease. So let's get into it. To understand how to fix fatty liver or metabolic associated steatotic liver disease, we kind of need to know what causes it. And the biggest driver and the main driver is an excess intake, too much sugar. More specifically, fructose and sucrose. Now, sucrose is added sugar that we get from regular table sugar. And when we eat it, it's broken down into fructose and glucose. Here's why that matters. So fructose triggers a whole cascade of events within the body, leading not to just fatty liver, but also things like heart disease, diabetes, even dementia and cancer. What makes fructose especially sneaky is that it doesn't trigger leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full. So that makes you want to keep eating. Fructose is often added to foods that are very palatable and very easy to overconsume and high in energy, in calories and in fats. Over time, this leads to leptin resistance, which means even with other foods, your hunger and fullness don't just quite add up. So, how do we avoid this? Well, natural fructose is found in honey, in some fruits, and also some root vegetables. And we can tolerate these, and we have been for thousands of years, without them causing any significant damage. The issue starts when we start to overconsume some of those highly palatable foods. Some of these foods are in crisps, chocolates, burgers, fizzy drinks. These tend to be the biggest culprits. Most fruits and vegetables contain small amounts of fructose, and they're paired with water, fiber, and other vitamins and minerals, which help to buffer any of the negative effects. The biggest and number one group to avoid if you want to reverse fatty liver, and that's going to be very sugary drinks. We know sodas and soft drinks can have negative effects on our health, but also having a large amount of healthy juices can also have a negative impact. Super concentrated fruit juices and smoothies should only be consumed in small amounts, less than a daily amount of 150 ml. An average shop-bought drink can be 300 to 500 ml, and it's very easy to overconsume these on a daily basis. Other sneaky culprits: energy bars, energy drinks, and sports drinks as well. These should only be consumed at high intensities or when we're partaking in high intensity and competitive sport. On a day-to-day basis, we should try and avoid and minimize the intake of these drinks. Now in the UK, we try to keep free sugars below the daily target of 30 grams. This is very achievable for most people, but actually overconsumption of a few drinks, some chocolates, some sweets, can very easily push you over that limit. If you've been recently diagnosed with fatty liver, it's probably best to try and stay clear and avoid these sugary drinks, juices and fruit juices for the short period whilst you were trying to reverse it. Now, some dried fruits also have a lot of sugar in them as well, and that's because the water is essentially taken out of these fruits, such as prunes, dates, raisins. These should be consumed in small quantities, in portions of 10 to 20 grams and maximum of once a day. Overconsumption of these can also lead to changes in the fructose metabolism of your liver. But we know that these foods tend to be high in fiber and other antioxidants and polyphenols, so to say to not have them would be wrong. What I would say is pair them with some sort of protein and have them in small amounts. The next step to help you reverse fatty liver naturally is to increase and leverage the use of protein in your diet. And that should be at all meals, not just breakfast, not just lunch, not just dinner. We should try and include a spread of protein throughout the whole day to make it more achievable to help us achieve our goals. Higher protein breakfasts and meals can help to reduce hunger and be more satiating. And also protein actually helps to remove some of that buildup and inflammation of fat that's within the liver. Your body also uses protein to help repair skin and protect and repair any muscle mass. So it's really important that we're getting enough. When you've been diagnosed with fatty liver, actually slightly increasing your protein intake can help to start repair some of that inflammation. So it's definitely a good place to start. Protein comes from a wide range of foods, and it's important to try and get it from whole food sources such as chicken, fish, lean red meat, dairy, eggs, but also to include some plant-based proteins, which we know the fiber and the vitamins and minerals have a beneficial impact on our liver. These include tofu, tempeh, soybeans, chickpeas, kidney beans. Adding one or two of these into your meals daily or even just weekly to start with, you will start to notice a big difference in your energy levels, your satiety, and over time, this will compound to reducing some of that buildup of inflammation and fat within the liver. Now, as we start to increase our protein intake, you would have noticed I said lean red meats. That's because when we start increasing our protein intake, it's very easy to increase our saturated fat intake. Now, saturated fat necessarily isn't as bad as we used to think in the research, but however, it is very energy and calorie dense, and also long-term overconsumption can still increase risk of atherosclerosis, which is buildup of plaque within the arteries, and can have more negative and harmful effects on our cardiovascular health. Stick to 1 to 2 portions per week, and make sure we're not over-consuming saturated fats from processed meats, excess butter, ice cream, other favorite desserts that we may have. If you're thinking about choosing a low carb or keto style diet to help you achieve your goals, it's important that the energy intake comes from fats that are higher in polyunsaturated fats, which tends to come from fish, nuts, avocados, and olive oil. These tend to have more of a cardioprotective effect and can also help to reduce and remove some of that inflammation that's been built up within the liver. Now, let's talk about carbohydrates. A lot of people are told to cut carbs if they have fatty liver, but the truth is severe carbohydrate restriction may not be sustainable for everybody long term. And the good news is you don't need to just cut out carbs entirely to reverse fatty liver. What actually matters is the quality and the quantity and the type of carbohydrate that you eat and how much of it if you're over consuming. Carbohydrates have different properties in terms of load, in terms of structure, and how we eat them in terms of what we pair them with has an impact on our blood sugar, on our liver response as well. And even the timing of day can have a small impact. Some carbohydrates that are found in legumes, dairy, vegetables, and fruits, these tend to be quite liver friendly and have less of an impact on the build-up of inflammation within the liver. Now, some foods that when we overconsume, such as jams, spreads, sugary drinks, biscuits, these tend to have more of a negative effect and an overconsumption effect, which can actually lead to more buildup and more fat within the liver. Now, what about pasta, rice, potatoes, and even some forms of bread? Now, these are all important whole grains that contain a lot of B complex vitamins, which are really important for sustained energy levels. My advice is you only need to fuel the amount of work that you're doing. So actually maybe only 1 to 2 portions of these are required per day. And we should try to choose whole food sources where possible. So whole potatoes, white or sweet. There's evidence to show that choosing a white potato or sweet potato has no impact apart from the slight differences in its vitamin and mineral content. Try and choose whole grain or wholemeal pasta and add other grains such as quinoa, buckwheat into your diet and your salad. The same goes for rice. When we pair rice with legumes and proteins, the impact it has on our blood sugar and insulin sensitivity is completely different to when we consume rice alone. If it's something that you want to enjoy as part of your diet, just think about reducing the portion size first before completely eliminating it out. This will help keep it more sustainable for you long term. Now, to wrap this section up alongside diet, there's another important step to help reduce and reverse that fatty liver buildup. Number 1 is going to be stopping and reducing any alcohol intake, whether that's red wine, spirits, and beer. That's because alcohol can only be processed by the liver. Any consumption of alcohol is going to cause some level of inflammation into the liver. The second is increasing your activity intake. Studies have shown that even if you don't achieve 5% weight loss, increase in exercise can help to reduce fat infiltration and inflammation within the liver. So adding in a small 15-20 minute walk each day and building that up to half an hour to set the goal of achieving 150 minutes of moderate exercise activity where your heart rate's a little bit higher and you may be achieving a little sweat is a positive way to help reduce some of that inflammation and build up in the liver. Finally, I wanted to talk about supplements. You do not need to take any supplements to help reverse and reduce the inflammation of fat buildup within your liver. However, there are some supplements that can help if you've got deficiency, such as vitamin D, or you're not getting enough from your diet from omega-3 sources such as oily fish and walnuts. There is some small evidence to suggest that other supplements, such as vitamin E, 800 units per day, has shown to improve some results in NASH. However, these results don't work for everyone, and the wrong supplement at the wrong dose can actually have negative effects on your health. If you're thinking about taking a supplement, I would speak with your registered liver dietitian or with your healthcare professional to see if it's the right dose and if it's safe for you to take. And finally, there's new evidence to suggest that increasing choline intake can have protective effects on the liver. Choline is found naturally in foods such as eggs, lean meats, dairy, seafood, and yogurt. If we are consuming these as part of our balanced diet, we should be getting sufficient amounts of choline. If it's been advised that you need additional amounts, you can acquire supplementation. Now, that's a great place to pause for now. Today, we've covered the 3 best dietary approaches, from changes in protein, in reducing fructose containing foods, and manipulating fats and carbohydrates to help reverse and reduce some of that fatty liver. We've also talked about how we can reduce alcohol intake and increase exercise to help improve and reduce and reverse that fatty liver buildup naturally. We touched on supplements without going into too much detail, and we'll leave it at that for today and hopefully see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take care.